it feels good to be back. But before I jump into everything, I'm going to fix this camera. I'm going to log into Instagram. Let's hope that works. Okay, we are now live on Facebook and Instagram for both audiences, or if you want to double dip, like do your thing, it's fine. I have missed you guys terribly. I missed last week, obviously, because it was Memorial Day, and to be perfectly honest, I was still recovering from kidney stone gate, and it was not in the cards. I couldn't do it. Hi, Sam. I couldn't do it. So I took a break, and I figured people wouldn't show up anyway because it was a holiday weekend, and I didn't think that was a good idea. And I like people to talk to, not just talking to myself. So I figured we would wait until I was back in a better place mentally and physically, which is today. And so I'm really excited to talk about a lot of stuff. But first, before we dive into the topics and everything, Sam, you're on Facebook and Instagram, or did you just pop right? Did you just switch over? Because you're impressing me if you're on two platforms with a newborn and a toddler. So tonight's show, I'm really excited, is sponsored by a company called Skinnylicious. It's tagged here as Skinny Soup, but it's the same company. On Instagram, it's Skinnylicious, and if you've followed my stories, you've seen me posting about them. It is so good. It's prepared foods, all healthy, all the buzzwords. I'm not even going to use them because I'm not going to pretend. I don't do paleo, I don't do gluten-free, I don't do any of those things, but this food is all that, and it is so delicious, made fresh, delivered to your door. And so they're my sponsor tonight. And if you guys have any questions, I would never share it with you and even allow them to sponsor if I didn't love it. But I am obsessed with it because I'm one of those people who cannot figure out what to eat after I've cooked 10 million meals for my kids. So they make it super easy, and it's everything from soups and salads and bowls and muffins, breakfast, lunch, dinner, all of it. So it's really, really good. Check them out. They're tagged on both Facebook and Instagram. And like I said, if you've been following in my stories the past couple weeks, I've posted a lot of meals from them, but it is so, so good that when it comes to my door, I'm like trying to figure out what it is that I want to eat. If you want to know if they deliver to you, just message them on Instagram or Facebook and find out what their coverage area is. But they are based in Miami, but they do deliver to me in Boca. Okay, so tonight's topic is actually from a reader. It was sent to me anonymously, and the question that she had was, what happens to a friendship, or what do you do in a friendship when a friend criticizes your child or your parenting? I have very strong opinions on that, but I was curious what everyone else had to say. And I was kind of surprised by some of the answers. So I'm going to tell you as soon as I scroll through, because I'm missing a lot of comments. Okay, so when you have kids, you automatically are thrown into the mix with other people your kid's age, whether it's through preschool or camp or Mommy and Me or whatever it is. You get to know all these other moms. Sometimes you become friends with them. Sometimes your mom friends are your friends from before you were a parent, and it just naturally, organically happens that way. But either way, there are some people who can't keep their mouths shut and always have something to say about the way that you're parenting or what your kids are doing and all that stuff. So I'm going to tell you how I feel about the whole situation, and you can tell me if you agree, and then I'll read some of the answers. I think that if they are not your kids, you should shut your mouth. That's just the way that I feel. If they're doing something obviously hurtful or detrimental, you should absolutely speak up to a parent. I've had conversations, as I'm sure many of you had over the years, privately with parents, whether it was someone pulling my kid's hair or my child didn't include someone or whatever it is. And with those situations, I do think it's okay to speak up in a respectful way, to squash it and take care of it and handle it. However, don't tell my kid to take the pacifier out of her mouth. She's not your child. I have family and friends who make comments about my child with a pacifier. She's not your kid. Like, enough. Don't worry about what's in her mouth. It's fine. Or they'll tell you that you're not doing something right with sleep training, or they'll tell you that you shouldn't let them eat a certain way. I am a firm believer that when it comes to all that stuff, the minutia of raising kids, unless your friend asks for advice, like, hey, you have a really good eater, what do you do? Do you have some tips? Then keep your mouth shut and don't tell anyone how to feed their kids, how their kids should sleep, how to discipline their kids. It's not your business. Even if you hate what's going on, even if you see things that are happening and you're like, oh God, I would not do it that way, and it makes you cringe, it is not, you do not speak up unless they ask your opinion. All of that being said, I have friends in my life I am super, super close with, like my best friend Marnie, who I always talk about, and we are brutally honest with each other. We have never said anything disrespectful about each other's kids or parenting, but we're very open and honest. And I think that that's a very subjective and personal thing. So if you have friends in your life where you don't really have those boundaries and that's okay, then go for it. But don't open your mouth unless you know that you have that kind of friendship. Don't open your mouth to anyone about their parenting or their child. That is my opinion. It's not science. It's not based in fact. That is how I feel. Sam says, what is that? A middle finger? I can't even see what that emoji is. I'm going to get to that in a second, why I can't see that. Alyssa says, how about my mother-in-law who always criticizes me? I just don't care. I now tell her I don't care what you think. And you have to. And I think that that's the thing too, is that I hear this happening with mother-in-laws, mothers, grandmothers, aunts. I think that if you have women who have very strong personalities, or even if they don't, if they say something, if you don't set a boundary and just say, listen, I understand, but this is my child, I'm going to raise my child that way. Or if you just ignore them, you have to pick a path, either ignore it and don't let it bother you, or speak up. I think there's nothing wrong with speaking up. It's not disrespectful, but you have to also be comfortable and have that relationship. But nothing makes me crazier than when family members start to criticize your parenting or what you're doing. Or, I mean, my mom and I can say anything to each other, so she probably says a lot of passive aggressive things to me, but I'm so used to her, I ignore it. And then she laughs at me and it's fine. All right, so here are some of the responses I got when I posted this question on Facebook. Some of them are in line with everything the verbal diarrhea I just spewed, and some of them are not even close, but we're going to go through them, and I'd love your feedback if you didn't send a response or if you have something to add. So feel free as I'm talking to type. Okay. Betsy says, it depends on the nature of the comment. If someone is trying to help and offers advice, it might sting at first, but I try to reflect on it and consider how I might do something differently. If they're just being an asshole, I'd probably just dismiss it. If they did it repeatedly, I would write them off and not look back. Who needs that kind of friend? So that's exactly what I'm saying. Real friends don't make you feel like shit about your parenting. If they know, your kid bit someone at school or something happened that affects another child, I personally would say, listen, I heard this happen at school. I just want to give you a heads up. But I would never judge one of my friends for the way they parent. I would never give them unsolicited advice. I mean, I know every group of girlfriends is different, and I'm very lucky to have a group of girlfriends that is comfortable and close and can say things to each other without fear of judgment and all that stuff. I know it's not like that for everybody, from what I hear, but if it is not your kid, stop giving unsolicited advice and stop telling people how to parent. If your friend asks you, different story. Tracy says it doesn't go well. It doesn't when someone sticks their nose in. I think there's a huge difference in criticizing versus correcting. If my child is out there doing something wrong, I would expect the behavior to be corrected by another parent, not criticized. So that's really interesting, because I have a major issue with anyone correcting my child without giving me a chance to do it first. I don't want another friend or a parent to discipline my kids. What I want them to do is say, hey, so-and-so she was just doing this on the playground, just thought you'd want to know, and let me handle it. If my child does something to your kid and I'm not around, sure, say something, but don't be a dick about it. It's still my kid. It's not your child. So at least be gentle about it and kind. Oh, Sam, go put the baby down. Love you too. I hope he's feeling better. Okay. Randy says, the parents that criticize others are usually doing most things wrong in their parenting, so I just smile and nod and silently tell them to F off. This is like, I got so many responses like this, which I find really interesting, because I agree 100%. I think that a lot of the people who have so much to say think they're doing everything perfect, and maybe in the moment they're doing everything perfect. Maybe their kid's sleeping through the night. Maybe their kid is eating broccoli and kale without even like being forced down their throat. But I promise you, no matter how much you think you have it together, the tides change constantly. And I can tell you, I know someone specifically who was an incredibly strict sleep trainer person with her kids, like so strict, locked them in their rooms, didn't let them out, like all the things I would never do. Okay. And kind of, I don't want to say shamed me, but it would always be like, well, I do this and you should try this. And her kids slept in their rooms until about 2 years down the road. And now one refuses to sleep in her room. One is in the room like every night at 5 o'clock, wanting to sleep with her parents. So I think that it's very easy when things are going well for you as a parent to start throwing your hat in the ring and talk about all the things that other parents should be doing. But let's not forget that when you have kids, things change like this. Their attitudes change, their bodies change, their minds change. Just when you get used to something, they change. So don't get so cocky and think that just because you conquered something that you're like an expert on the topic. Have a little bit of patience with the other parents around you that may not have the same experience that you have. Jessica, last day of school tomorrow. Our last day of school was Friday, and my older one started camp today. And I know some people hate that, but I love when it goes straight from school to camp. It is glorious. Glorious. And my little one's starting camp next week. Okay. Let's not forget to address input from friends who are not parents themselves. I can't even deal with people who don't have kids who have anything to say about your parenting of your kids. Here's a PSA, and I'm pretty sure that I speak for 99.9% of parents. And I have to use that disclaimer because there's always that 0.1% who are holier than thou and will not agree with this. But here it is. If you do not have children, you do not get to say anything about anyone's parenting ever. I don't care if you're in a restaurant, a kid's losing their shit. Guess what? That kid might be losing their shit in a restaurant because it's like a little bit past their bedtime and they're having a meltdown and there's nothing the parent could do. It's not necessarily a behavioral thing. It's just a meltdown. Kids have meltdowns. So before you open your mouth, say to yourself first, do I have children? And if the answer is no, then shut your mouth. Don't ever speak up about someone's parenting or children. I don't care if that's harsh. That's real life. Jessica says, perfect parents exist. They just don't have kids yet. Right. Exactly. Exactly. And listen, I think we all too, if you're willing to admit it, before you have kids, you have these like idealized things in your head of how parenting is going to be. And then it's not until you have kids and you're in the trenches that you're like, oh God, I can't believe I ever thought I wouldn't give my kid an iPad, or I would let them co-sleep, or I would do all these things that I swore were like Satan's work. And then watch, you're doing it because you're desperate to sleep or you're desperate to get something done. And so you hand your kid a screen. Let's just be kind to each other. But if you don't have kids, you don't get a say. You don't get to talk about someone's parenting. End of story. Okay. My feeling is if a friend gives good advice in a loving way that's not criticism, but critically nasty comments are a whole other thing. Send her packing out of your life. Agreed. If they're a good friend who knows me and my child, I'm open to feedback. If they are not good friends, piss off. So that's how I feel. If they're good friends, then have a gentle conversation with me. But even there's a fine line there. But if we're not really friendly, or we're like acquaintances, please don't talk to me about my parenting and my child, unless something is wrong and they're doing something with your child. Obviously I want to know, but we got back from our cruise last weekend. The people next to us at dinner said, we love kids. We have 13 grandkids. We need more people like that and less debates and less Debbies and Susans. For real. You're right, Jessica. Okay. Depends on the situation, but generally speaking, if it honestly comes from a place of love and is solution focused, I'm all good. If not, F off. So a lot of people are saying that. They're saying like if it comes from a place of love, but I'm going to be totally honest and say, I don't want you to give me advice about parenting and my kid, even from a place of love, because you don't know what goes on behind closed doors. You see, when any of you on a given day who are watching right now are out in public or with your friends, you see like a tiny piece of the puzzle. And it's not fair to judge someone's parenting on that tiny piece of the puzzle because there's so many moving parts and there's a family dynamic and there's work schedules and there's school and there's camp and there's kids who spike a fever all of a sudden. And then that explains why they've been acting like rabid animals for the last day. So I actually disagree with the place of love thing. If it's a good friend, obviously it's always going to come from a place of love. But I kind of think that's like, you know, the crutch people use when they have someone in their life who most people don't like and they're constantly defending them and they're like, oh, but she has a really good heart. That's like what you say when you have someone in your life who's an asshole that you're trying to sell to another group of friends. It's not real life. And that's how I feel about if it comes from a place of love, because people who feel the need to criticize your parenting, that's not coming from a place of love. I'm not talking about like a good friend saying, oh my God, you look so stressed out. What's going on with sleep? Can I help? That's totally different. Okay. Jessica says, friends don't criticize, they offer meaningful and insightful help. This is true. All right, these are some of the ones from Wine Tribe, which is my group that's tied to the blog. If you guys are interested, you can request membership. We talk about all kinds of stuff in there. All kinds of, it's a kind, safe place. There's no judgment. If anyone picks a fight, you are out. I have full control. I will not stand for it. But it's a great group of parents, and we just vent and dish and share funny jokes and articles. So if you want in, it's hashtag Wine Tribe, wine with an H, obviously, and you can request that. But these are the answers I got from them. Depends on the relationship with the so-called friend. If it's for safety, I might speak up. Right. So if it's for safety, or a kid is doing something that is harmful to themselves or others, you should speak up and not worry about the repercussions. That I agree with that. Depends on the friend and the approach and the kid. If my friend says something about my autistic kid, we're going to fight. If it's a gentle approach and from a loving place, I'm more willing to listen. I agree with that. Totally depends on the friend. Not all relationships can withstand the kids' talk. And that's true too. You have to know your boundaries with your friends. I think all of us have friends in our lives who you can have those completely uncensored conversations with, and you know that it's not going to end bad. And then you have those other friends you have to tiptoe around a little bit, where you're not going to have those conversations. So I think first and foremost, you have to know your audience before you decide if you're going to speak up at all. This person said, they're not my friend anymore. I don't hang out with judgmental people. Me neither. Nobody should be judgmental. Judgmental people are not my people. A true friend, I'd consider what she's saying and hash it out. An acquaintance, I'd tell her to go pound salt. Right. Throat punch them. Violent, but I understand. Sometimes people drive us to that point. Okay. Here's what I got from Instagram. And you guys can always check. I usually, on the day of the show, I usually post in my stories with a question that you guys can answer, whatever the topic is. Okay. That person is either not a friend or is deflecting from her own inadequacies. That goes back to the point someone made earlier about everyone who has something to say thinks their kids are perfect or doesn't have them. Girl, I have a friend who does this. I fire back and not nice. What about families like brothers or sisters? I criticize theirs right back. It happened recently. I got a bunch of middle finger emojis. Does this friend have kids? Because if not, bye, Felicia. Yeah, see? That's what I'm saying. Say, bless your heart. It means fuck off in Southern. I love Southern, little Southern idiosyncrasies. I don't even know if that's the right word for cursing. I love it. Okay. If it's your child, piss off. You do you and I'll do me. If they're truly a friend, they'll get it. Totally agree. Okay. Depends if they're parents themselves or not. If they aren't, I let it go. They're clueless. You're a nicer person than me, because I would not let it go if they were clueless. Because you literally, unless you are in the trenches of parenting, wiping snot, being vomited on, dealing with cooking multiple meals a night, you should not be telling me what to do with my children. Punch them in the face. That escalated quickly. Tell them to shut the fuck up or be petty, and remind them about their asshole kids. And that's true too. Not only are a lot of people who feel the need to speak up deflecting and trying to tell you what to do with your kids because they just like to hear themselves talk, but it's definitely, I found, covering up for a lot of them have kids. I can't tell you how many of them have kids who are such raging jerks, but they don't see it. And it is so obvious, but they don't see it because they think their kid can do no wrong. And I was raised, my mom with my brother and I always had our backs, always. There was never a question. If someone came at us, right, wrong, or indifferent, she had our backs. If we were wrong, she would tear into us privately and let us know it was not okay. But to the public and to people around us, she always had our backs. And I feel like we both benefited from that because we knew that she was loyal and we could trust her and we could come to her with stuff. I do the same thing with my kids. I will have their back 100% because there's nothing worse to me than a kid feeling defeated in the moment by their own parent. So I will have their back. And then when we get home, we have a real talk about it. That's my parenting style. Doesn't have to be yours. Jessica, that also goes for parents of kids who are younger than yours. If you haven't been through the stage, your opinion doesn't count. Seriously, if you have like a 2-year-old, don't tell me what to do with my 10-year-old. Don't. You have no idea. You don't even know what real life is with a 10-year-old. Okay. There's a lot of expletives. People want everyone to go F off. this was a joke, but it's funny. Stay awake at night, second guessing everything I've ever done. That was sarcasm if you don't speak sarcasm. My sister critiques my parenting and it has strained our relationship. So that's the other thing. And that's what this anonymous reader was saying, like, what happens to the friendship? Obviously, I think everyone for the most part is on the same page that you should mind your own business. That's like the general consensus. But what happens to the friendship? Do you look at that person differently? Are you now going to feel comfortable confiding in them with stuff about your kid and not have it thrown back in your face? And so I think that if you're the person who maybe is on the fence about thinking about saying something to your friend about their child or their parenting, you need to consider that it may affect your friendship, and you have to be okay with that, because there's not really, you can't like take it back. There's no going back from that. And so you have to be very conscious about what you're putting out there, how you're saying it, and who you're saying it to, because once you put words out there, hey, Carol, Tracy, when both parents have their kids back, we get nowhere. When both parents have their kids back, we get nowhere because neither of us is there when something goes down. Listen, there's no easy way to do any of this. And there's also no right or wrong. There is no right or wrong. I really feel like parenting is such a personal journey, but I do think it is not okay to judge other parents for the little stuff. Forget about the harmful things. But, you know, the person who said that her child is autistic and she gets very upset when people come at her, you don't know. Not everybody is so public about their children. Maybe someone's child has ADHD. Maybe they're on the spectrum. Maybe they have some behavioral things going on. Maybe their parents are going through a divorce and the kids are feeling it. You don't know what is going on with that child in their mind behind closed doors. So stop being an authority on a family that isn't yours. It's not nice behavior. A lot of ignore the comments and reevaluate the friendship. I think it was split 50-50. Half of the people were completely casual about it and like, oh, just laugh it off, or I ignore it. And half the people were like, I am going in for the kill and I'm not going to let them get away with it. And I don't think either of those is the wrong approach. I think that it's a matter of personality. Let's see. Feel hurt at first, but know it comes from a place of love. If you feel that way, okay. Special needs mom here. I've dealt with this for years. I say thank you and ignore them. And that's, again, goes to my point. We don't live in the shoes of other people parenting these kids. So if you feel comfortable saying something about somebody's parenting choices, you really should evaluate where your energy is and maybe put it on your own family, because I think that it would be much better served with the people that you know that are your people and not someone else's family. It depends if they're rude or wrong. I probably end the friendship, honestly. I wonder how many friendships have actually ended or been completely strained by someone saying something about someone else's child or their parenting. There's got to be like research on that. I don't know that I have the energy to look it up, but I'm sure it exists. Your friend circle shouldn't contain people who criticize either. Agreed. Criticizing my child warrants a conversation. Criticizing my parenting by Felicia. Yep. Only my mother is crazy enough to do this, thankfully. She just gets the polite blow off. Mothers and mothers-in-laws, they just can't keep their mouths shut. Okay. We aren't friends because they are usually assuming the worst and incorrect. Mama knows best. Flip them off. Bye, Felicia, again. I back away slowly. Real friends don't criticize. They get it. Oh, so here's like real, this isn't research, but it just answers my question. It happened once. We haven't talked. It's been 9 years. So there's a lot of people here weighing in who have ended friendships, or friendships have been strained about people talking about their parenting or how to raise their kids. So I think the moral of the story here, at least from my perspective, is worry about your family, worry about your children. Unless somebody's child is doing something mentally or physically painful, tormenting to your child, you should keep your mouth shut, run your ship, and let them run theirs. It's not your business. And you're never going to change someone's idea. They're going to parent the way that they want to parent. And we're all built a little bit differently, and that's okay. Like there's no handbook that says there is one way to do something. So everybody just stay in your lane and we'll all be good. Okay? All right, we're going to have a little vent sesh. And I want to thank all of you guys because the hospital situation that I had here when I had kidney stone gate was a disaster. I'm not even going to go into the whole thing because I think most of you, especially those of you commenting, were involved in the comments when I posted about it. But I want to thank all of you guys for your support, and I got so many messages that I'm still going through some of them, asking about how I'm doing and the whole situation in general. And you guys are so sweet, because I'm a stranger to so many of you and you guys are strangers to so many of me, but this little world kind of connects us, and there really is so much compassion to be had. And I appreciate all of the messages that I got about it. But it was a disaster, and it makes me really sad, because our healthcare system should not be the way that it is. And I know I could go on a soapbox, and I'm sure many of you can, but here's my goal with all of this. Just to give you a brief synopsis, I had a horrible experience. I had nasty nurses. I had 7 hours in a hallway throwing up in a bucket. I checked in at 5:30 to the ER. I was not in a room until 3:30 the next day. I mean, a lot of it can be blamed on an ER being busy, but on top of the busyness, the lack of compassion, the lack of sense of urgency, the fact that they already knew I had a kidney stone because I'd been there a week prior and gotten CAT scans and it was still there, and there was no sense of urgency to call a urologist until God knows when. I didn't see one until 22 hours until I was there, and that to me is unacceptable, since they knew what I had and it was confirmed. Everyone is so tied to processes because they feel like they have to go by a book. And I understand there's laws and bylaws. I get it. I'm not like saying anyone's above that. But I'll tell you this. I witnessed firsthand how shitty hospitals are in ERs when there's pandemonium and there's chaos and the nurses can't handle it, and they start to get snippy and they start to get upset. And here are my thoughts on it. And I'm sorry if I piss anyone off. When you decide to be a healthcare professional, you are taking the responsibility of caring for patients. And part of caring for patients is not just the physical caring for patients, it's the compassion, and it's the sympathy, or even empathy if you've been in that situation. It's all of that. And I understand everyone has bad days, and I understand things get busy, but what would happen if, with all of the publications I write for, the clients I write for, if I called and I said, you know what, I'm having a really shitty day, so I'm just going to churn out mediocre work right now, and you're going to have to deal with it. It's not okay. And so there's little things like that with every profession. When you decide to be a nurse, especially a nurse, because we love nurses and they take care of us, if you can't have compassion on your worst day, then don't be a nurse. Please go work in the DMV where all the other angry people are. But please don't be a nurse, because it's really, really ridiculous that we encountered wonderful nurses who are amazing, but there were a couple that were so bad that they ruined the entire situation there. And when a patient comes into the hospital, but particularly the ER, where there's heightened sense of emotion, we're scared, we're vulnerable, we're in pain, and we need that compassion, no matter how shitty of a day, no matter what's going on personally. That may seem unfair, but you're not allowed to bring your personal life and take it out on a patient and lose your temper and have a short fuse. You have one job, and your job is to take care of your patients mentally, physically, and everything in between. So just do that. Like, I don't understand why it's such a difficult thing. And I was blown away to witness it in my own community hospital. It was eye-opening. I ended up being in a room with a roommate once I finally got a room, who was an elderly woman who was by herself. I don't know if she doesn't have family or what the situation was. She was having accidents in the bed every second. The nurses were getting annoyed, which I understand. It's a lot, but that's your job. That is your job. Like, it's not her fault. I'm sure she doesn't enjoy shitting the bed every 10 minutes. I'm sure it's not fun for her. So be kind and nice and sweet and have compassion for people. And if you can't do that, then go find another career. It's really not okay. Jessica, I'm hoping your spa day helped. It did. It was really, really good. I'm really sorry this happened to you and many others who aren't speaking out about their experiences. So that's my point. So here's my goal with this. My goal is, I know that I'm one voice, but I got so many comments and direct messages from people who had similar experiences and never spoke up. And you guys, I don't know if you know this, but you have a voice. If you have a shitty experience at a hospital where it's truly bad and it's not just, par for the course, it's one of those things you kind of have to deal with, write a letter. Write a letter. If you can't write it, contact me and I will help you. Write a letter send it to the CEO of the hospital, send it to, go on the website. Everyone's emails are usually right there. Send it to everybody. Send it to the ER department. Send it to the state of Florida. Just send stuff, because the more of us that use our voices and speak up and get stuff out there, that's the only chance we have to have some kind of change. And it's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen quickly, but I'm going to annoy the shit out of them until they make my situation right, because it's not okay. And guess what happened today? On top of all of the traumatic things that happened during my stay there, I did write a letter, and if you saw it, I posted it. It's still up on my Facebook page, and it's on Instagram, and it's on my blog. I was contacted within minutes by email, and then I got a call the next day. I haven't heard from them since. It's been a week, so I'm not going to be crazy, but I will tell you this. I received a letter from my insurance today saying that my claim, I have really good insurance, that my claim was denied because the hospital did not give them the proper documentation that they have requested. They just haven't turned it into them to be able to process my claim. So not only do I deal with physical pain, emotional trauma, all the stuff that went on because it was the most horrible experience of my life, now I'm getting a letter from my insurance company that the shitty hospital situation has not turned in requested documents, and so my claim has been denied. So as of now, I am responsible for every penny until they get their shit together. That is not okay. It's not okay. Nurses really make or break your hospital stay. I had an amazing ones when I had my kids, and I'll never forget them. Totally agree with you, Jessica. And the hospital where all this happened, which is Boca Regional, when I had my second daughter there, it was phenomenal. Phenomenal nurses, incredible staff. Everything about it was great. Desiree, yes, agreed. More people need to have more compassion in all areas of life, but especially nursing. If you go into nursing, you need to have compassion. So that's my rant. I'm sorry, but you're going to hear a lot about it in the coming months, because until they do right by this whole situation and do what they should be doing, I'm not going to be quiet about it. And I may not even be quiet about it after, because now I'm all fired up. I feel bad for the people who don't speak up, either because they don't know they can, maybe they just can't find the words, maybe they just don't, they're older and they don't know the process. But I'm telling you, and I mean this, unless I get 100 emails about it, then I will do my best. But I mean this like wholeheartedly. If you have had a horrible experience at a hospital and you want to write a letter, you want to know what to do, please DM me and I will help you, because I feel terrible that people don't speak up. It's not okay. So if you would like help putting something together because you just can't find the words or you're not good at that, I will help you. I will totally help you, because you cannot be quiet about these types of things. It's not disrespectful to use your voice. It's not disrespectful to demand better care. We deserve it. And those of us who pay all this money for insurance, especially, I mean, it's ridiculous to be treated that way. So please, I'm telling you, Jessica, I'm sorry you're dealing with insurance. I had to deal with that for months after I had my son. It's crazy. Sometimes I wonder why we even bother. All right, so that was my vent sesh. For my What I'm Loving, I put Skinnylish in there again. You guys, please check them out. It is so good. I am actually going to go. They just sent me a banana chocolate chip paleo muffin, and I am going to eat that right now. That is going to be my dessert, and I'm not going to feel bad about it because it's good for me and it's delicious. I'm really trying, now that I had the whole stone thing, I'm trying to be, I'm not unhealthy. I definitely indulge in really good food, mostly on the weekends. But during the week, I try and have like some civility and not go completely crazy. But I'm trying to be very, very conscious about a lot of the foods that I put in my body. And so that's one of the reasons I love Skinnylish to begin with. But it's actually good. I don't know if you guys have tried a lot of prepared foods that get delivered, because I know it's all the rage. I've tried a few of them and I've thrown most of them out. I'm just not a fan of them. And this, I was licking the bowl. It is so, so, so good. So check them out. They're tagged on Instagram, they're tagged on Facebook. And then lastly, I'd like to confess to you guys today, I am 42, as you know. When I turned 40, all of a sudden, I couldn't see directly in front of me, even though I wear contacts and glasses. That thing happened where I needed readers. I went and bought drugstore ones and they just did not cut it. And so I had my eye doctor appointment today. And I had to get real readers, like real ones. My husband's asking me if I'm going to attach a string to them and making fun of me. Carol, LOL, I don't love my kid like that. Tracy. Yes, Tracy, they're in Miami, but they, as far as I know, they do deliver to Boca. So good. It's really, really good. Soup, salads. The best thing I had so far, they had a salmon salmon, like a taco bowl, and it was phenomenal. Everything is homemade, healthy, no fat, delicious. All right. Don't make fun of me. This is a safe space. These are not even my glasses. I have contacts in now. I have glasses that I wear when like the eyes come out and I'm watching TV in my bed. And then this happened today. Today, I had to get readers. And my mom told me I wasn't allowed to get boring ones because my other glasses are like tortoise shell. So these have like fun blue stuff on them because apparently readers are supposed to be a little bit wacky. Who knew? Tracy, come see me. I know I should come see you. I do love my eye doctor, but I'm all taken care of for this year. I'm all set now. But Tracy, I want to do LASIK one day. We need to talk about that. All right, everybody. That is my show for tonight. I'm happy to be back. I missed you guys terribly last week. And if you miss any of these shows, they are all up on YouTube now, on my YouTube channel. And my amazing friend Sherry, About Face by Sherry on Instagram and Facebook, uploads them all for me and is like my little secret webmaster. So this will be up there soon. But if you ever are looking for something to binge or you're bored or you want to hear more of this stuff, they are all on YouTube for you to view. So everyone have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your week. Good luck to those of you who are riding out the final wave of school. You'll be on our side of the fence soon since we just finished. And I hope you guys enjoy the beginning of summer. And I will talk to you all next week. Bye.